Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. This week's episode, we have Jared. He's the founder of Black Cat Movement. Black Cat Movement aims to help people like you and me reclaim the ability to move like how we were evolutionarily designed to, using a science-based approach. Check his Instagram page out before you start this podcast to have a better idea of what kind of movement he teaches. I guarantee you it's something that you have never seen before. I will put his Instagram handle in the description of this podcast. He uses unconventional training methods and equipments to prevent injuries and promote longevity. Me and Kayong are having him on the show not just because of his unorthodox style, but because we have actually seen the results of what he teaches and it really works. We talk about how he started Black Cat Movement, why he uses a mace to build joint and ligament stability, and also about his crazy trip to India to find out more about his origins of many of his training techniques. Also, before we start the show, while recording this podcast, it was Kayong's birthday, but we totally forgot to give him a shout out. So, before I start the podcast, let me just say this. Happy birthday to you, my brother, and thank you for being on the show with me weekly. Ain't nothing like brotherly love, man. Oh, and we also want to put in a plug. So, if you're listening to this podcast and you enjoy what you're listening to, please introduce this podcast to your friends, family members, clients, strangers you meet on the bus, the kopitiam uncle you sit to while having lunch. That will really help us a great deal. Alright, so let's get this show on the road. So without any further ado, please give a warm welcome to the very powerful Jared from Black Cat Movement. How's the whiskey and coffee?
Oh, you never drink whiskey and coffee before?
No.
Have you ever drink whiskey and coffee?
I have had it before, yeah. It's
Quite
pretty
short
damn
one,
good.
especially
yeah,
milky one.
People gonna work out later, bro. Don't they?
Oh, I done for the day, bro.
Truth.
Firstly,
Truth. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, Jared. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hello.
Hello, Black Cat.
Black Cat
up?
Movement. Alright, before we get started, let's just take us through like what you do and what's Black Cat Movement all about.
Well, I started Black Cat Movement because I wanted to bridge a hole I saw in the fitness industry. So I found that most fitness providers, they were more focused on like giving people a quick fix. So they wanted to like get people the results as fast as possible. I wanted to work more on longevity. So I wanted to work on people's dysfunction. So let's say like they had shoulder issues. I wanted to cure that first. I wanted to work on their mobility issues first before they worked on their various goals. So Black Cat Movement is all about getting people to move better before we get them more physically fit.
How long have you been actually teaching people this new, unique and I think one of a kind of training in Singapore? Because I don't think any trainers out there are using the methods that you are using.
It's actually been a kind of a wild ride. I started this journey maybe like 6 years ago. So I used to be a regular in the armed forces, and once I left, I started teaching yoga first, and then I got really into strength and conditioning because I worked in an SNC gym, and I started working with fighters. I worked with Tiffany first. So yeah, I worked with Tiffany first. Then that's how I started into BJJ. I met Kai Xiong at Highlight Reel, and then started working with more fighters from there.
Yeah, for those listening that don't know who Tiffany is, Tiffany Teo is one of the ONE FC fighters, and then she will be fighting for the title, I think, at strawweight.
31st.
On the 31st of October against the current champion, which is Xiong Jingnan. I think she's from China. So
It's a rematch.
it's a rematch. Yeah, she lost the first fight, but I think we are all confident here that she can take the second fight, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Jared is one of her trainers lah. That gives her
Used to be.
Yeah. She was part of your
Strength and conditioning.
Yeah, I used to do SNC for her maybe about 2 fights ago. Yeah, 2 fights ago.
I see. Okay. What do you think kind of separates you from like the conventional gyms? Because in Singapore, like when we think of a gym, most things that pop into people's head is like, oh, you go to the gym, you do bench press, you do squats, you do deadlifts. But then like what we see, like
Kai Xiong doing, and then Mark Kai Xiong a bit impart over to me during the lockdown period. Yeah, like his program. I've seen him doing the programs like especially you utilize a lot of things that people don't get to experience here, like maces and what was
gymnastic rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like my whole training ideology, it kind of started when I was in the army. I got injured. I had like a really bad chronic injury for both of my shoulders. I dislocated them multiple times from like childhood sports. And then when I was in the army, whenever I had to do stuff like rope climbs and stuff, it destroyed my shoulders. So I had to find a way where I could like rehabilitate and get them stronger. Now that's when I first started swinging clubs and maces, and I also kind of got into the whole practice of like durability training, using mobility exercises to strengthen the tendons of the joint and stuff like that. So I get all of my clients to really, I wanted to impart this into them. So if they have like really durable joints, that's when they'll be able to produce force better. And then we start to work on the other aspects, so like strength and stuff. But first things first, we got to get them mobile. We got to get them really, really durable. The mace, right, is kind of an interesting implement. I used to...
I think before that, right, for the listeners out there that do not know what a mace is like a stick that has a weight
The heavy weighted on the top end.
on the end of
yeah,
the stick.
it's like
on
a
the top.
cannonball like
So
attached to a stick.
Yeah, imagine like a match, right? And at the tip of a match, there's like a red little dot there that you use to start the fire. The red part usually is the part where it's the weight, right?
Yeah.
So,
So it's actually a medieval weapon, right?
Yes. So the history of the mace is it actually came from being used as a weapon of warfare. So the steel mace itself and club bells, it's one of the most ancient weapons. So prior to swords, prior to spears, first came the mace. The mace was actually the first weapon used by humans, right? Specifically for killing another human. Other weapons were adapted from weapons that were used for hunting. So, for example, like the adaladdle and the spear, all that was used from hunting first, and then the mace is just specifically for killing other humans. Yeah,
Blunt force trauma,
yeah,
bro.
blunt force trauma, bro.
can you imagine using like a weighted ball to just smash somebody else's head off?
Horrible,
I cannot
man.
imagine.
Horrible.
So like yeah, if I think about it, like if like we were cavemen, and then the first thing would be like a club,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So I guess it's adapted from like actual from the
Exactly.
club, and then
Exactly.
blunt force trauma all day.
Exactly. So these warriors in the past, especially in the Persian Empire and in India, they used to use maces. So you go back to their museums and stuff, you can see their ancient maces made of steel and stuff like that. And eventually they started to create their own training implements. So the training implement, they would make it from wood and stone, and then they would carve it from wood as well. And then these training implements were swung for hundreds of reps just to build their shoulder mobility and just to train themselves for warfare.
Yeah, how do you like get to know about all these different movements that you do with a mace, and because you had to learn this from somewhere, right? So how actually do you pick up all this stuff?
So way back when I first started reading about it, the only resources you would have available to you was YouTube and then the old texts. So the old texts like the the Encyclopedia of Indian Physical Culture, like Art of Manliness is a European journal, and then a couple of very, very obscure texts that you can read. But now it's everywhere. So there are courses online, and I teach courses as well. So back when I first started reading about it, yeah, it was super obscure. And then I slowly started to build more and more knowledge as I started to practice it myself. And then, we are here today. I'm starting to teach it as well.
Yeah, so talking about the mace, like Kai Xiong let me try, he actually let me try, I think you gave him 2 maces, 4 and 6 kg. So I saw him swinging, and then he was doing it so easily. I was like, 80, let me try. He said, you sure? Then I was like, okay. So I thought like, usually I lift heavy weights, and then I thought it would be easy, and then it was totally not what I thought.
Yeah, that's the thing about the mace. It's a really light implement, but it acts like a lever because all of the weight is on one end and the handle is completely hollow. It just increases the force that it's able to produce like many fold. So it's much more difficult than you would think it.
I see, because you gotta I guess you need to relax the shoulder muscles. Because for me, I also have some shoulder issues, which I think came from doing shoulder presses in the gym. So I did overhead shoulder presses, and then I started to realize that now when I do dumbbell raises, right, because now the bar is not there to stabilize, or my right hand now cannot support my left, and my left shoulder is the bad shoulder lah. Now my right is not there to support shit. Now it's a lot harder for me to do dumbbell presses, and then so for the last couple months I've stayed away from it, and then now I'm doing pull-ups every day. And then I feel like it's a lot more useful for me to just not do the pull-up, but actually just hang from the bar. I feel it's a lot
That
better for
hanging is so good for your shoulders,
huh?
man. It helps you decompress and stretch it in traction, so it pulls the joint apart. Yeah, so it's super super good. If you have shoulder issues, I suggest you hang on the bar. It's really good for you.
Yeah. So talking about Nigel's experience, right? My experience with swinging the mace after lockdown, I actually when I went back to the gym, my shoulder pressures were actually were stronger.
For reals, right? And you feel
were
more
stronger.
stable,
Yeah,
right?
I feel more stable and a lot stronger. I was like, 80, it really works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was swinging it maybe 4 times a week. Yeah. So alternate days I've been swinging the mace during the whole lockdown.
Actually, it plays very well into like if you're trying to do a BJJ submission or trying to take somebody down, that leverage you have, additional leverage you have from that grip strength you have, actually would benefit fighters a lot, lah, right? Yeah. That's why I think a lot of your athletes that I see you train, and you actually specialize in like the younger athletes. I see you training like little junior BJJ kids. I think it's a very good way for them to build a strength that we are not accustomed to. Because when we say, like, you know, back in secondary school, we used to be like, oh shit, 14 years old, let's go to the gym, let's bench press, let's shoulder press, let's try to get ourselves as jacked as possible.
Yeah, that's the more like my kind of straightforward. Just go to the gym, lift some weights, and then over time I actually feel stiff.
Yeah.
I'm actually very stiff.
No, but I feel like that's everyone's fitness
Yeah.
journey. Even mine, man. Like it used to be that way. And for the kids, what I wanted to do was give them more of unconventional strength. You know, strength in weird angles and stuff like that. So in that way, they'll be prepared more for the act of combat. Yeah. So I'll get them to do a lot of animal locomotions, a lot of various crawls, a lot of various unilateral squats and stuff like that, so that they're strong in all different ways. It's not just a vertical movement up and down that they're strong in. They're strong sideways. They're strong down on the floor. They're strong in rotational movements like the mace as well.
Yeah, so one thing that I can relate to, like, you know, a mace is a weird equipment that we see, and then like people that we go to the gym and we see, oh, the equipment right there is weird. Like there used to be, for me, when we were kids, there used to be the kettlebell.
Yeah, you remember when the kettlebell was not in
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
not cool.
It was nowhere. It was nowhere. In every gym, like there was no kettlebells. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah. So
definitely.
my question for you is, do you think there is like now you go to gyms that promote like functional training, such as like the most commercial one is like F45, right? Now F45 uses kettlebells. Do you think that they will adopt the mace or gymnastic ropes in the future?
I feel that it's only a matter of time because America has. So America has adopted it, and fitness culture worldwide, especially in Singapore, it follows American fitness culture, maybe lagging behind by 4 or 5 years or so. But eventually we will get there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so talking about the American, I forget one of the IFBB pros. I actually saw them swinging the mace.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
huge, chunky fellas, and they're swinging a mace. So I wonder how much they're swinging.
Yeah,
So I think it's very good for especially those big guys, right? They will have a lot of mobility problems. I think they're actually doing it to fix their mobility problems.
surprisingly, powerlifters, they like to swing the mace because apparently it aids them with their bench press. Yeah, so a lot of these powerlifters, they lack this T-spine mobility, right? And the mace aids them for it. So there's this mace called the Shoulder Rock that it's American-made design, and it's sold by powerlifters actually. Yeah, interesting.
Sorry, the design is?
It's called the Shoulder Rock. So it's actually like a long pole, and then you can put in like just your plates onto it and then screw it in. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's dope
so it's
also.
self-loaded. Yeah, so you don't have to be one fixed weight lah.
Exactly.
Everybody can use.
Adjustable mace.
Okay.
Sure.
Shoulder rock. They're showing you the rock, bro.
Yeah, this is the one. No, this is an on it mace. If you type in shoulder rock,
On it actually does a lot of functional training stuff as well, right?
yeah, Joe Rogan's
Yeah, I
company.
see
Yeah,
him and his kettlebells and all the TRX and all the different kind of exercises that he does.
yeah, and on it is like one of the, I would say, like industry leaders in terms of maces, because back when it was really, really rare in America, they were the first people to come up with like a mace certification program to teach trainers to use the mace and teach the mace. Yeah. So, I mean, Rogan is the best person to like sell it. There recently was an episode with Josh Barnett, and both of them
okay,
like they
yeah.
waxed poetically about the mace for like a couple of
I
minutes. I
heard
was
that
like,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, because like Joe is 53 and he moves like no other 53 we see here.
Yo, for
Definitely.
reals, man.
No, compared to any other 53 like here, I don't think most 53s can move like him or lift like him.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I feel like most people who are 53 down here, it's almost like it's done. It's done, yo.
Yeah, hereditary.
Yeah. And yeah, they're not really exercising anymore. They're just like maybe brisk walking a little bit, and then they go down to the fitness corner and do like the various fitness exercises. But you look at Rogan, man. He does functional exercises, and he's still
Like
going
he
strong.
Lifts 100-pound kettlebells, swings them around.
Yeah, I think for like the type of fitness that you are trying to push, right, I think it goes beyond just, looking jacked. I don't think at people like when you reach a certain age, right, like for me now, I don't really care about how big I look. I honestly just want to feel good. So that I don't have this type of weird aches that I have in the morning when I wake up. Like 18 years old last time, you could do whatever the fuck you want in the gym, right? Next day you come out, you can go to the gym and hit the same amount of weight. Like now your body starts to slow down a little. The injuries start to come about. And then now you start to think, oh, how can I actually prolong myself so that I can keep getting better as I age? But at the same time, I can do it consistently and I can see myself doing this for 40, 50 years, right? I think that's what Joe Rogan has reached. At that point right now, he still wants to generate like power in his kicks, in his punches, but his goal now is actually to
Functional living.
Functional
like you
living.
want to be fit, basically.
Keep doing what he's doing for
Yeah.
as long as he can.
Yeah. And I think Singaporean society, as we progress towards one that, we don't have a lot of time to become full-time fitness freaks, or for people that, they have a lot of people in Singapore, they have corporate jobs. I think the type of training that you are promoting is very doable, right? You don't have to be, in fact, most of your training, you don't have to have a gym. You can have the equipment at home. Like before you go to bed, get a workout in, shower 15 minutes, go to bed.
Exactly. Like my concept actually like grew around that. I wanted to teach people to use the equipment that they could have in their house, and you would generally you just need a little bit of space to store it. So like kettlebells, boom, you just put it in the corner of your house. A mace as well takes up really little floor space.
One tile space.
Yeah, boom, everything is right there. And then like maybe bands or something like that, but it's really easy to store as well.
Yeah, you can put it at the back of a car, drive to the beach, get a workout in, have a view, and then put it back in your car and drive back home.
Maybe not swing the mace at the beach yet.
Well, people may get scared in Singapore. you know.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, like the amount of times that I've been questioned because I've been carrying my mace around, like to go to various clients' houses and just been stopped by like security. It's a lot.
Yeah, because Kai Xiong tells me he travels with a big ass rucksack, so all the equipment
Yeah.
is inside.
But I was looking at, you don't just have a mace like for people that think that a 4 kg mace is too heavy. You actually have I don't know what is it called, but you have the water bottle at the end.
No, it's actually a really innovative design by a couple of Danish inventors. So it's called the Palavandal. So these guys, they managed to make a water bottle into basically a club or a mace. So it's like a plastic tube that you can screw into a water bottle, and then it just becomes a handle. So it's really modular. You can use the smaller bottles, you can use the heavier bottles, you can fill it with water or sand. And so like I get my kids to swing that stuff. It's
Yeah.
perfect. It's perfect.
And it's also a cheap way, right? Because steel is an expensive commodity, and it's something that you don't want to be carrying about. If you can carry a water bottle out, and then after that just reach a point, fill it up with water, screw it in, use it as essentially I don't know if we still call it a mace, but
Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, it still serves the same function, and
It's just a build up. It's just a build up to the bigger maces, right?
yeah, it is. And if you were to ask me, right, it's so innovative. I just wish I had thought about it earlier. But those Danish guys, I'm friends with them, so I'm one of their ambassadors as well. And yeah, they did a really good job.
where can one get one of these?
Or just let me know. I'll get you one of those. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Easy
if you
peasy.
want, follow Jared on Black Hat.
Black Hat Movement on
on
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, slide
you-
into my DMs, guys. I'll
Yeah.
get you one of those.
I think he's gaining quite a lot of traction in Singapore lah. I can see like people just kind of sick and tired of just going to the gym doing like routine
guess-
exercises.
Yeah, look, so like what I noticed from the fitness market here is that all the Singaporeans crave more for a fast. They have to get it over and done with. Like they don't want to spend 2-3 hours in the gym. So I see like F45s are coming up a lot, and then a lot of time constraints. So anytime fitness are 24 hours. So they, I think time matters for us Singaporeans a lot.
I don't blame them at all. I mean, it's just a function of modern society. You know, everything is so simple to get, right? You press a button, you get it immediately. So that's what they want as well. I want my system to give them that, but let me do the thinking for you. And it's not cookie cutter. It's not the same thing for everyone. So it's completely personalized. Every program is completely personalized for you, and you get to have ownership of your program as well. So you get to track it. So unlike F45, you don't know what you're doing that day. My program, you can see exactly what you're doing, and then you see your growth at the same time. Yeah.
Like especially when you feel the maces. Like for me, the mace swings get easier. You can do more reps. You're talking about 100 reps. I laugh because I know 100 reps is not easy to hit. So I hit maybe 30, 40 at one time.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yo, I should tell you guys, you know 100 reps is difficult, right? But when I went to India, so this is an interesting story. When I went to India to like research the maces, and I just went there to do some crazy shit. We should talk about that as well. But when I went there, the kids over there, so like probably 12, 13-year-old kids, they were swinging 20 kg maces, bro. It put me to shame. I was like, yo, mind blown. And they were swinging it for hundreds and hundreds of reps. And they were like, yo, what's up, man? You want to swing with me? I was like, no, give me that 5 kg over there. I'll swing it a bit.
12-year-old kids swinging.
Yeah, legit. I have videos of it like way back on my YouTube and stuff. It's nuts. And the thing about it is, they grew up with it, so they don't even think it's heavy at all. So when they look at the 20 kg or the 10 kg mace, they tell me that's the junior maces. The 30 kg, that's the big boy maces. And that's what they tell me.
And we are swinging 6 kg maces.
Right?
I think it's a function of like culture and what they are brought up with. Like it's like same thing if you grow up in Singapore society and you do something that is like Singaporean and like, for example, if we eat something spicy, right? Then we say this is the level of spiciness in Singapore. You bring it over into like US and people say like this is spicy, and then we eat it in Singapore like hell no, this is not spicy at all. It's a function of society lah.
Yeah.
Right, so
I agree.
How long do you go to India for? Tell us more about it.
I went there for 2 weeks, and okay, so one part of my mission, right, was actually to go and research the maces, but the other part of the mission, like I kind of knew, I had an inkling that I was always interested in like weird, obscure religions and stuff like that. So I knew Varanasi is a really ancient city. In fact, it's like the oldest city constantly occupied by humans. So there were cities in the past that it was occupied for a period of time, but then maybe it was like hit by famine, hit by war, and then it was unoccupied. But Varanasi is a constantly occupied city, the oldest city in the world. And in that city, there's this sect of Hindu holy men called Aghoris. So they were like, these Aghoris, they are actually cannibals. Yeah.
Man, I was waiting for that one. Kai Xiong told me, so I was wondering a certain tribe, yeah.
So I used to teach yoga, and these Hindu holy men, they would consider themselves yogis. They're Aghoris, they are like, they consider themselves yogis. So it's so different. You look at the people practicing yoga in Singapore, wearing their Lululemon pants, and then you look at Aghoris doing their version of yoga. Their version of yoga is nuts. They'll do like, they'll sit in lotus pose over a dead body with like
Whoa,
yeah,
what?
yeah, dude, it's part of their meditation practice, their initiation ceremony. So like how the Navy SEALs have their initiation, which is Hell Week, right? The Aghoris have their initiation as well.
So they do a lotus pose over a dead body and
Over dead body
for a day.
They meditate with a pot of coals over their head, and that's part of their initiation. So if they move, right, the coals will drop and burn them, and then below them there's a dead body. So I was really interested in this because I had always read about them, and then I was always like, what the fuck is up with these crazy motherfuckers? You know? So I went over to Varanasi, and then I was just looking about. I was trying to look out for Aghoris, but then in the main city, you really can't find them. So I was asking around, and one of the kids that brought me around, he actually introduced me to the traditional gyms. I asked him, so where are the Aghoris? I heard there's Aghoris in Varanasi. So he brought me to the Burning Ghats. So the Burning Ghats is where the Hindus go to burn their dead. Varanasi is considered the holiest city in India and the best place to burn the dead. So anyone who can afford it, they'll go to Varanasi and they'll burn the dead. And yo, it's nuts, man. The Burning Ghats is like maybe like, it's the size of a football field. Yeah, it's the size of a football field. And the rich people, they burn the bodies in the building. They use like the modern day facilities of the crematorium. Yeah. And the poor people, they use wood fires by the banks of the Ganges. Wow. and it's open, so anyone can go there and just look at what's going on. You see the dead bodies burning, the fat melting and flowing into the river. And it was nuts. It was mind-blowing because I was never so in such close proximity to death before. It was just everywhere. So when I was there, I asked him about the Agoris, and he pointed across the river. So Varanasi is such a unique city. It's shaped like a crescent. On one side is the Ganges, and on the other side is desolation. So on this side is just desert. It's nothing, just sand. And so this is the city. I was somewhere around here. He pointed across into the desolation, across the river. There was a small black tent. And he said in that tent, the Agoris are there.
So you were across the river and you can actually see the tent.
I can see a small tent, and then it was at night, so I could see a small fire over there as well.
So it's not a very big tribe?
No, small.
Just a handful.
When I went to go see them, there were 6 of them. Six of them. And there were only, if I'm not wrong, like 2 full Agoris. The rest were initiates being trained to be Agoris.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how did you actually approach them? Were they open about it? Or?
Yo, it was nuts, dude. So I asked the kid, can you bring me across, like, because I can't speak their language, I can speak Tamil, but this is South India, this is North India, so they all speak Hindi and I can't speak Hindi. So I said, can you bring me across and help me translate? I want to talk to them. I want to ask them like why they do what they do. And the dude was like, no, you're on your own. The Agoris, they can read people's mind, and they can they have black magic, and they once you go there, they possess you and shit. And he's like, no, fuck that, you go yourself.
He's actually telling you don't go over there lah.
Yeah, pretty much. He said you're on your own. You go find your own way. You can ask someone to bring you. And then I was like, okay, man. I'll try and talk to the boatman to bring me across. So there's a boatman who will bring you anywhere along the city, so I can get a boat on this side of the city, go across the river and get off on this side. It's very efficient means of travel. So I asked him to bring me across, and all the boatmen told me to fuck off. All of them asked me to fuck off. Until I met one guy who looked like, I don't know, he looked fucked up. I think he was on some kind of drug or something, but he looked pretty fucked up. And then when I asked him about it, he said, sure, but give me a watch. And then he pointed at my watch. My watch was a pretty cheap watch, something I bought from Decathlon that was waterproof. But for him, it was like, damn, state-of-the-art shit,
Yeah, Rolex, baby.
Yeah, he was like, god damn. And then I was like, okay, sure, I'll give you the watch, and then just bring me across. So he brought me across. I was walking on the sandbank towards the black tent, and I saw one dude on the outside of the tent. He was just looking off into the distance, and then as I approached, he started to look at me as well. And then I asked him, are the Agoris in the tent? And then he just gestured for me to come near. And I came close to him, and I said, are the Agoris in the tent? And then he don't know. Obviously, he can't speak English. So I went closer to the tent, and I looked in. When I looked in, I saw a garland of human skulls. So it's just...
holy shit.
Yeah, dude, I was fucking freaked out at that point in time.
This is what the Agoris look like. So if you're listening now, just Google Varanasi Agoris and you will see a couple of crazy photos.
Dreadlocks, and one of their symbols is they carry a skull. So if you see a single Agori, he probably has a skull in his belongings. It's part of their meditation practice.
And there were only 6 of them.
There was only 6 of them at that point in time. They do gather in bigger numbers on certain holidays, but at that point in time, there was just 6.
So they're actually tribes
all across,
segregated across the desolation in a way.
Not in the desolation, but different states of India.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But in Varanasi itself, there was 6 at that point in time.
6.
Yes.
This is a really old culture kind of.
Yeah, it's like something from the old world, something that's still surviving to this day. Because this cannibalism is not legal in India, but people are just so afraid of them that no one's going to stop them.
Even the government doesn't bother them.
No one touches them. No one, they just let it be. Because these people, right, they left behind their past lives. They used to be normal humans, but they let all their worldly belongings go, and they took on the life of the Agori. They had to spend 8 years as a initiate first, and then they can become a real Agori.
Wow, that's some interesting shit right there, bro.
I cannot wait to hear more, but I just want to put it out there. So you went to, what's the city again?
Varanasi.
With no plan, just to look for the Agoris?
Yeah, pretty much. No plan.
Just a backpack, some clothes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you were by yourself, right?
Yeah, I was by myself, yeah.
How long ago was this?
This was actually last year.
Oh.
No, last year.
After you came out of the force and recovered and
I came out of the force. It had been a couple of years at that point in time already, and then last year I went. Yeah.
Crazy shit. So how do you actually get to Varanasi? Do you take a flight to one of the big
Yes, I
cities
took a flight to Delhi, and then from Delhi another flight to Varanasi.
you gotta check this place out later.
Yo, dude, that place is nuts because it's you can't even imagine. It's like an ancient city, and all of the streets are super narrow, dude. It's as narrow as this, and then in the street itself there'll be a cow, there'll be a goddamn motorcycle. It's filled with people. Yeah,
and they can't touch cows, or it's like that's their
Yes.
their sacred animal, right?
Yeah. So these cows will be like wandering everywhere. So back to the Agori story, right? So I was outside the tent. There's a garland of skulls, and then there was a dude lying down on a cot in front of me. So when I approached, right, the guy like he woke up and then he looked at me and then he spoke to me in perfect English and I was like, what the fuck's going on? He said, who are you? And I said,
Holy shit!
Just went, who are you?
bro. Okay. I didn't even speak to him in English yet, and he just spoke to me in English.
yeah.
I think he can recognize from the clothes I'm wearing, lah. Okay. So I said, my name is Jared. I'm here to find out more about your culture. Are you Agori? And then he said yes. But don't talk to me. Talk to my guru. My guru is in the city, and he's in blah blah blah. He told me like the name of one of the hostel that the guru was at. So I was like, okay, I know. I have this name. I'm going to go back to the city and find it. So when I went back to the city, I went to this hostel. I looked everywhere in the goddamn hostel. There wasn't a single person I could find or that I could ask where this guru was. All the doors were locked in the hostel. So I walked throughout the hostel. And then I went down. I was just sitting on the doorstep. Two Indian dudes approached. They was probably about my age, maybe slightly younger. And they spoke very, very broken English, but they told me they were looking for the Agori as well. Okay. And what a stroke of luck, right? These guys speak Hindi, and then I say, okay, I'm also looking for the Agori. You help me ask, then I follow you. And then they went throughout the hostel, knock on all the door. They didn't give a fuck. They just knock on all the door. Then they said like, yo, where's the guru? And then eventually it was in one doorway all the way at the end of the hall. They knocked on the door, heavy metal door. The door opened. And then I immediately smell a fucking fog of ganja smoke just emitted from that area.
I got the right place.
So, dog, I was like, this is the one, dude. This is the one.
100%.
And I heard a really angry Hindi voice from the inside. Like, it was like, what the fuck are you doing here? Some shit, but in Hindi lah, something like that. To that.
The two guys.
Yeah, to the two guys, and then the two guys were starting to explain something, and then the guy said, no, fuck off, come back at 6 o'clock. Yeah, fuck off, come back at 6 o'clock. So later, I realized that the Agori slept during the day, and then they would wake up only at night. So they spend their waking hours only at night because they had to do a ritual at midnight every night. So they just would be awake during the night doing their ritual and preparing for the ritual, and then during the day they are just always asleep or smoking weed or doing whatever the fuck Agoris do.
So, but actually, what is the function of a Agori in their society?
Exactly. So this is what I wanted to know. Like, how can this elusive cult like still be here? Like, what use does society have for them? You know. So eventually, I would come back again with the guys at 6 o'clock, and I would ask the guys like, why the fuck are they here? Why are they looking for the Agoris? And they would tell me that they wanted to cast a black magic spell on one of their spurn lovers. So they were in a relationship. The girl left the dude, and she went off with another guy, and then they were going to get married. And then they wanted to cast a black magic spell on the girl to make him fall in love with him again.
That's crazy.
Those were the two guys.
Yeah, there was one guy, and the other guy was his best friend following him. Yeah, so
I guess he got his back, bro.
yeah, he got his back, dude.
But these two guys are like Indian also lah.
They're Indian.
Okay.
Yeah, so they come from a neighboring state. They travel like 4 hours to get there.
Oh, that's not too bad for them.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it's not
To get a girl back, to have a chance to get a girl back, that's not too
4
bad.
hours.
So, yeah, one of them was like a mechanic. The other one was a farmer. And then I got to know them. I kind of got to like them a little bit. They were alright, other than the fact that they wanted to cast a black magic spell, you know. But eventually, when we went back at 6 o'clock, right, I went into the room with them and I met the guru. The guru's name was Guru Manikandan. The weird thing is he has a Facebook account.
What? Okay, Manikandan has a Facebook account.
He has a Facebook
The
account.
guru must have had a past life before he became full.
He did. And he's kind of like the rock star of the Agoris, if you ask me.
So is a guru like the leader of the Agoris, or is in
Just for his tribe.
Yes. For he's a leader and like a very, very held high person in terms of like the Agori culture.
Wow, so he
crazy story? So good that we had to drink more whiskey.
So later I'll show you his Facebook though. It's nuts. Anyway, eventually I went in with them, and then the Manikandan was talking with the guys, and he was very evidently like upset with them. He wasn't like giving them any respect at all. But surprisingly, like that guy spoke Tamil, so he's from South India. And then when I spoke Tamil as well, he immediately like had some kind of liking for me, and he asked me to sit down. And the other two guys were standing, and then he was just scolding them. Yeah, he was just scolding them. But I didn't know what was going on because he was speaking Hindi with them.
So how old was this guru? Do you know?
He looked to be a late 30s. He looked to be
That's
late
pretty
30s.
young.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty young.
I thought
pretty
it
young.
was ancient wise age kind of thing, like
No.
50, 60.
No, but I think
Yeah.
it depends on how early you decide to drop everything and start a new life.
Yeah, exactly. So he started early. I asked him, he used to be a butcher in his past life. Yeah. And so Manikandan was basically later on when I spoke to him, right? He told me that he doesn't do black magic spells. What he does is he does cremation ceremonies for the dead. If people are sick, he can help them do prayers for them. If people are like have leprosy, he can help them do prayers for them as well. But he doesn't do this kind of black magic stuff.
So
He said
like no selfish, negative stuff. It's all good things lah.
yeah. He basically told me like, what do they expect me? Do they think I'm a pimp? I don't do this kind of pimp job, you know?
wow.
Yeah.
Actually, it kind of like makes sense, right? Like he's not here to
He's not
satisfy your wants
Carnal,
and needs,
car-
right?
yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
He's not like a random evil shaman kind of thing.
To equate this
Exactly.
into like Chinese or like
Gong Tao, bro. This
Yeah,
is basically they want to
he's-
cast a Gong Tao.
these
Yeah.
Agoris are like the high level monks lah, right? Because when a guy dies and then they get a monk to come down, or when for me I'm Catholic, if there's a ceremony you get the priest to come down and then they perform the
last rites and all this.
the last rites, or
yeah.
when you're sick you ask the priest or monk to pray over you or something like that, right? Along those lines lah.
Yeah. So eventually I found him to be like quite an interesting guy. He had a sense of humor about him. He just kept joking and he was really fun. And like when I asked him about his why did he choose the path and all, he was very, very elusive at first. And then he invited me to go and witness the ceremony where they would do a sacrifice, an animal sacrifice, and then they would do a sacrifice to the goddess Kali, like the goddess of death. So he asked me to go back across the river at 12 o'clock, which I did. And then I witnessed the ceremony. And initially, I was really afraid because I was on a rowboat with one Agori and the river was completely empty, filled with fog. We were going
wow.
into the desolate side. And I
That sounds
thought,
like a movie scene.
yeah,
12
dude,
midnight.
12 midnight.
It's like do you know Hades where they cross the boat?
Yeah, right, dude.
Exactly. You have to pay the boatman a coin.
Oh, real, dude. And I thought, like, yo, it's done. I'm the sacrifice, motherfuckers. Shit.
I thought that's it, man.
Oh, I really cannot imagine. I really cannot imagine.
So at the end of it, like once they went through everything, it was actually like quite an alright ceremony. They were just doing their various chanting and stuff like that. And then the weird thing is, halfway through the ceremony, there were people who crossed. I could hear like footsteps on the outside, and then people came into the tent. They were all dressed in black robes, and then when they pulled their robes down, they were white people, man. They were white men. Yeah, there was like four white people, and two of them were from Norway, and then the other two were from UK, and they were Kali worshippers from that area. And this
wow.
guru was like their teacher. So the guru introduced me as his friend, and then I started talking to them, and then they said like they worship Kali. I asked him, are you Agori? Are you training to be Agori? They said, no, I'm not. It's very hard to be Agori. I'm just a worshipper of Kali. Yeah.
Did he like want you to join them or some shit?
No, he didn't. He wanted nothing from me, which was the weirdest thing, because in India everyone wants something from me.
Yeah.
Bro,
No,
and-
in the world actually,
Yeah.
like, right? It's
He-
just the world.
This guy, he wanted nothing from me. He never asked me for a donation. He never asked me for anything. He just said, if you want to see, you can come over and witness it. And they did sacrifice a chicken. But in the end, they did eat the chicken as well. So
But I think. Right, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's very happy to share that with you.
yeah,
so-
exactly. And he told me that there were people who wanted to interview him in the past, and you can see there's a BBC documentary who actually went to that hut, and they cast the Agoris in a very negative light, and they interviewed a crazy man who is not really of the Agori sect, and then this crazy man, he claimed to be an Agori, and then I asked the guru about it as well. He said there's a lot of crazy people out there who claim to be Agoris, but the thing is they're just crazy, and they claim to be Agori and they eat the dead, but it's not our people. Eventually, this death will consume them and make them into something that isn't barely human.
Nothing like
What?
Agoris.
Not like real
stand for,
Agoris.
yeah.
What is the real like rationale for them to cannibalize and eat another
Exactly.
human
I
being?
asked him about that as well, and he said, in his view, it was just what you call it, a symbolic representation that the dark and the light were both part of God. And he said that most Hindu holy men, they only went by the path of lightness, so they only espouse purity. They would drink milk because it's supposed to be a symbol of purity. They would sing hymns in the temples, but he believed that everything, even darkness, death, even disease, was all part of God. So it was just symbolic for them to eat the flesh of the dead to prove that they really had that thought pattern in their mind. It was almost like an initiation ceremony. Yeah. And after that, I found out that this guru has a temple in South India, and no one in India cares for the lepers because the lepers are considered impure, except for the Agoris. The Agoris care for the lepers, and they would like bring lepers to their temple and feed them, clothe them, and only the Agoris will care for the disease. Only the Agoris will care for all these people who are considered unclean because they believe that the clean and the unclean are one.
And that they're still human. I mean, yeah. So they talk about balance, right? Light and darkness. So they find there's not much difference as long as there's the balance there.
Yeah. So it was interesting lah. I mean, for me to hear that and then come away with that insight. It kind of changed my world view as well. Like, I no longer view negative things in that light anymore. It kind of like
Yeah.
everything is part. Is
When you
one and the
talk
same.
about that leper point, it's exactly the same like
It's the Good Samaritan
like
story.
when you
isn't it?
when you as a Christian or Catholic, when you brought up like also in the Bible, like the lepers are the ones that are pushed aside, and then Jesus is the only one that can heal them or take them like, under his wing. So it's like actually if you look at all the different religions, right? Honestly, you study it, actually there's a lot of similarities.
Universal theme, huh?
Yeah, that's a universal
There's a
theme.
theme to it,
Wellness,
and
goodness.
it's just a different name, right?
Yeah.
And they always promote at the end of the day. Just I think most religions just promote don't be an asshole in life.
Yeah,
Compassion.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, man. I
Straight
agree.
up, yeah.
Like Joe Rogan put this, I think, in the perfect way. Like even if you believe in religion, that's good on you. If you don't believe in religion, right, everybody should at least act like you have a religion. Because at the end of the day, the values that all religions promote is actually
Don't be an asshole.
just don't be a fucking asshole in life, lah, right? Don't steal, don't kill, don't right? Like all these values all religions share. I think is not like something that everybody can say no, that's this part of this religion is bad, this part of this religion is bad. It's like all the values are around the
So
same.
if
That
we
structure
actually
is good to have lah for society.
Yeah, even if you don't believe in religion, that structure is good to have. And actually, a lot of these things that these religions promote, right, you can actually see them manifested in the laws that our government has. Like, don't steal and don't murder. Like, this is in every single government, like, adopts these laws, right?
And religion is more powerful, you know. It has that spiritual aspect to it. So like when
Yeah, like something you can't explain in life or why things are like that, right? You attribute it to, or there must be a greater power that is orchestrating all these things that are happening, right? Right. I think that's why for thousands of years, this is how religion has
affected
evolved,
human
right?
beings, yeah.
Yeah. And okay, how did we get here from a maze?
That's the fun of.
Yeah, that's that was.
So I have one very big question. Where do the Agoris get their meat?
Oh,
Meat,
okay.
yeah.
So I told you the desolate side is basically it's a sandbank, and most of the people they burn the dead on the city side. But then the poor, they cannot afford to burn the dead on the city side. So you have to pay the people who are burning, and also they'll go and burn it on the desolate side. And then when you burn it on the desolate side, the Agori will take bits that are left over. Yeah.
Okay. So is there like a reason, or like is it because of culture that they return the bodies back to the river?
Yes, there's a very long tale involving various gods and some ancient war and like things like that. That's why they believe that the Ganges is a super holy river, and then you have to burn the dead down there.
So it's like symbolizes a whole life cycle kind of thing, lah.
Yeah.
Long story cut short.
Yeah, and weird thing is, right, the river where they burn the dead, and then they throw the body parts. So like there are remnants that the fire cannot completely burn. So they'll grab those pieces and throw it into the river. There's fish in that river that eat the dead, and there are fishermen who fish that fish.
Oh, so actually
eat that
it's a complete cycle. In the end, they eat back
Yeah, and that
the
whole
fish that is be eating humans.
city, right? The whole city is just a symbolic circle of life. It's just death and life is just so closely intertwined. It's nuts.
So they all rely on one another.
Yeah.
I think that's the disconnect we get from living in a city lah. We just like go to the market. Oh, that's the vegetable, right? Then we buy the vegetable, we eat. Then we don't even know like where our produce actually
comes
comes from, right? But we don't realize that actually it's all connected lah in some way.
Yeah, like modern life is almost like it's too clean, it's too clean. We don't see the reality of it lah. But over there, like you see it, it's so, you can actually
Raw,
smell it.
yeah.
Yeah, sure, dude.
I guess the dirtiest for us we experience is way back when we were younger. Our hawkers, our pasar malams. That's probably for our generation. Don't say our parents. Yeah. So, but nothing raw like what you experienced.
Yeah, yo, talking about like food over there, right? I got super sick after I came back from India. I was sick for 1 year, and then I realized that I had a parasite from India. I don't know where
Yes.
I get it, dude.
Kai Xiong told me something about a parasite
What kind
infection.
of, what kind of sickness?
Yeah, okay.
What do you feel like for a year?
It was Giardia, and like you can hear Rogan talk about it a lot. He calls it beaver fever because like hunters get it as well. It's basically a parasite that it lives in feces. So somehow something I ate or some water source I ate was contaminated with feces, which honestly like I wouldn't be surprised because there's a lot of fires. They use cow dung to build a fire. It's the main fuel source over there. So it's probably from something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine like their immune system, right, is probably 100 times stronger than ours.
For reals, dude. They just like the filth in that place is nuts, yo. Especially that river. I don't get how people bathe in that river, yo.
While someone is peeing upstream or downstream, they're
There's
bathing.
dead bodies. There's like pieces of dead bodies like floating around. Like, dude.
That's why it would be
nice.
interesting to study like how I think this coronavirus, right, has showed us that the people that have strong immune systems, right, generally do okay. Like,
Yeah.
but if you have a weak immune system or you are higher up in the
Compromised,
age
yeah.
range, right, then you're more susceptible to like giving out on this coronavirus. And then it'd be interesting to see like what are the numbers coming out from India, because I would imagine the entire India, right, is just full of people with robust immune systems. You're living in an environment where you're exposed to like feces and uncooked food, all kinds of germs living everywhere, right? And then also most of them are doing hard laborers work lah. And then there's a benefit to being exposed to the sunlight every day, as we know, vitamin D, so on and so forth. So if you were to like just compare their death rate to the US death rate, right, I'm pretty freaking sure that India has a lower fatality rate than US, because the Americans just stuff themselves with like
fast
shit food every day.
The surprising thing is you would expect it to be otherwise, right? Considering like the medicine, right? But I mean, their numbers are not as high as the America.
Their cases are high, but I don't think their death rate will be as bad as America.
Like you said, the kids grew up swinging 20 kg bells, so it's like a build up where they have a lot stronger immune systems compared to the Americans, I guess.
Yeah. Also, like I was thinking, like just now, have all these kids been swinging these maces, right? I think this relates to something even like deeper, or something that manifests in terms of the sports that they play. Like you see cricket, dude, it's all about the shoulder power, bro.
Yeah.
Like you gotta swing
The
that
torque,
stick,
yeah.
Like if you do that mace exercise, it definitely helps you in cricket. I'm sure of it, lah.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. It's great for racket sports, man.
Yeah, not just swinging that bat, but throwing that ball at an insane pace
yeah.
also, right?
Yeah.
You have to have shoulder, not just stability, but strength
Yeah.
Yep.
to have a good balance, right? And I think when we link this back to like MMA, you throwing punches at different weird ass angles, or people trying to bend your arm and trying to like submit you, all this plays a part into the broader part of fitness, strength and conditioning that we don't take into account. Like not just lifting heavy ass weight, but actually lifting relatively heavy weight at weird angles at weird and doing weird movements with them, right?
Yeah.
Unorthodox movements.
Yeah. I think that's damn interesting. Like now I reach this age where I really like do bench press like damn boring for me. Like I want to do other shit that I have not tried before.
Gotta get you swinging some maces, bro.
Yeah, I need to get myself a mace. I think we alright. So we are 52 minutes in. How about let's just do a short segment. So me and Kayong, right, we always do a last part of the segment where we talk about straight up MMA lah. So for our listeners that don't listen to MMA and don't want to listen to us talk about fights, now is the time for you to drop off, and thank you for joining us. But now we're going to transit to full on MMA lah.
Let's go. I like this as well.
Yeah, so we really know that you watch MMA, and then there's a big fight that's coming on this weekend. Couple of big fights.
Geji. Intense.
What do you guys think, man? What do you guys think about that?
I really think Geji has a chance, and it's just gonna be a hell of a fight. I don't think you can expect anything, because we haven't actually seen Geji use his takedown defense.
He's supposed to be a really good wrestler, right?
Yes, and he says he's been wrestling all his life.
Yeah.
He's all American.
Yeah,
that's why he's
that's the thing.
so confident with his striking that he's not afraid to get taken down.
Because you barely see him like use his wrestling.
Yep,
His striking has been getting better and
Yep.
better. So
Sharper and sharper.
Yeah.
Especially what he did to Ferguson.
yo, that was so nasty,
It was
bro.
so brutal to watch.
And Ferguson, yo, gotta give him for that chin.
Yeah,
Like-
he's the boogeyman. He
I
never
don't-
goes down.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else can survive.
No, dude, that guy doesn't feel pain, yo.
But I think Gaethje recently admitted he admitted that if Khabib manages to get him onto the cage, right, then it's done with.
Yep. So he said that if any wrestling is to be done, it has to be in the center of the cage, because he knows that Khabib will excel when he presses Geji against the cage.
So I expect actually Gaethje to move forward in a fight, because if you are the one moving backwards, right, that's where you get a back against the cage. If you are moving forward, you can control. And then also Gaethje is the better striker among the two lah, like by far. I think by far.
I think Khabib will surprise you.
No, Khabib definitely can strike, but I think Gaethje is on like another level. I think he's on a higher level than in terms of striking than McGregor in their weight division. So Gaethje used his boxing and destroyed Tony. Absolutely destroyed Tony. And Tony is a good striker, right?
That's true.
That's true, right?
I would say he's really good at striking. But weird thing is like Khabib seems to be getting better at his striking as well.
Yeah.
For sure, because that's his only weakness.
Everybody worries about his takedowns.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
exactly how he dropped corner was he keep faking he was doing the takedowns until he fainted and then he dropped corner, the overhand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the holy shit moment.
Yo.
They recently asked Khabib in the press conference yesterday, what is the difference between American wrestling and Dagestan wrestling? And then he said the difference is in American wrestling you wrestle for like maybe a minute or 2 minutes. In Dagestan we wrestle for like hours. So he says, do you think he said, do you think Gaethje can last for 25 minutes with my intensity? And I think everybody in their head goes no. And Gaethje himself admitted like, I know like if he takes me onto a cage and he takes me down, the game is over. So Gaethje knows he has to stand up and have to have that takedown defense in the middle of the cage lah.
Yeah, that's the thing that Khabib excels in. Not just taking people down, but once he takes them down, he does this weird clinching thing that the highlight reel guys have been working on as well. They keep doing it to me, dude.
It. So what they do is they hug the arm in, right?
Yeah,
they
and
hug
it's
your
sometimes
balancing arm.
yes,
Yeah.
across the body. They trap that other arm, which Khabib does really, really well. And that's nasty because it just drains your energy, and you just keep going and going with that.
Like all his fights, right, when he fights
Yup.
and he takes the opponent down, right, you can see in their eyes, like when their backs against the cage and Khabib is pinning them down, right, you can see in their eyes they're like, oh shit, I was not prepared for this.
I guess the highlight reel guys are adapting it where they trap the arm, because I seen Kai Xiong, I think he practiced it, and then
Yo, every time I roll with Kaishong, he does that shit to me. I'm like,
so
yo,
it's-
this-
because
But what's the
it takes
workaround?
away your balance, right?
yeah, you can't post up, you
Yeah.
can't do anything.
Yeah. So
Like,
he just traps and then you are lying on your shoulder.
Exactly.
And then there's in MMA you get hit in the face.
And then you only have one good arm to work with, what?
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other arm is probably trapped.
Yeah, true,
Yeah.
true. So your only arm that's facing
And that's-
towards the sky, he's pinning it down, and the other arm is stuck behind. So you're dude.
You're
done.
You're done.
It's
You're
done.
fresh meat, bro.
And
Just
I
getting
think
beat.
other UFC fighters are actually adopting. I forget who.
Oh, that other guy with the cleft lip, right?
In the past few events, someone was doing it as well.
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
trap the arm against the cage and then they just maul the fella.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people will start to look at that, and it's going to be throughout MMA. A lot of grapplers are going to do that. That old folk style wrestling.
But I think UFC like kind of like favors Khabib like quite a bit because they got the backup, which is Michael Chandler, like he's from Bellator over, right? And then
Yeah, what's the deal with that? So he's like from another promotion, he's going to take over in case someone tests positive or something.
yeah, so he was the Bellator lightweight champ, and they got him over as like a backup in case any one of them, Gaethje or Khabib, backs out. But you kind of already know that they are actually putting him there so that if Khabib wins, right, Khabib has the next man up fight because Khabib has essentially almost cleared out the division. Until to a point where they asked him, Khabib, who do you want to fight next if you beat Gaethje, sorry, what Poirier? Gaethje. And then Khabib says, the only next sensible fight now is GSP.
I think Khabib will retire, win or lose against GSP.
Yeah,
He just wanna put down his legacy.
It should be about done already. I mean, he has nothing left to prove,
Yeah.
and then also I feel like after his dad is gone, like
Yeah.
he's fine.
Yeah, that's something that we're not talking about. Like, he's fighting for his dad in this fight.
This one's going to be a banger because I feel like he's going to have that extra fire. No, he's going
It's either he's gonna have the extra fire or when I heard the news about his dad passing, I thought it would just go two ways. It's
Yeah,
like it's
exactly.
either gonna affect him a lot, like how Tyson.
Yeah,
when his
Buster
coach
Douglas.
passed on, yeah. No, also when Tyson, I think his coach passed on. That's when he started going downhill. When he didn't have.
Oh
that
yes,
guidance.
So
yeah.
it could go two way. Either like it
Yeah.
could go downhill, or it could be like
Yeah,
Tyson
he would-
versus Buster Douglas. And Buster Douglas, his mom died. That's the first time he knocked out Mike Tyson. First time Tyson got knocked out.
But
I feel Khabib has that unbreakable tenacity
yeah,
though. I feel
same
like
thing
he's-
here. I feel like he has this, like, dude, he's never gonna lose. Like, he's not that kind of guy. You know
His
what I
style,
mean?
I guess.
Like,
So that's the thing. Gaethje's style actually can counter his. So we haven't seen what Gaethje can do with his wrestling.
That's why we never saw his wrestling.
And
It's
then
been
he
super-
can
yeah.
hit
So
so
the question
fucking
is,
hard.
since we know he can wrestle when he was younger, and we have not seen his wrestling in the UFC since, has he like kept that?
Deteriorated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has he kept that skill, or has he gotten rusty? Because, dude, if you don't use a skill for a certain period of time, right, you will lose it one lah. That's something we know, and there must be a reason why he has not chosen to use his wrestling at all, right? Maybe because he just wanted to show like a middle finger to the rest of the world, like, I came in as a wrestler, but now I'm a superstar striker.
Yeah, but that's how confident he is of his wrestling that nobody actually tries to take him down. You
That's
know
the
what I
thing. Like, I think people should try to take him down to actually see like what's he. Cause you're not gonna beat him standing up. Nobody's gonna beat him standing up. Gaethje is probably one of the most polished strikers in the UFC right now. Like, I think he's up there with Jones. I think these are the only two like pure breed strikers.
I mean that last fight was really a workshop. It was
Yeah.
nuts, you know.
The
What
last
he did
two
to
fights
Ferguson.
have been a workshop. Like, Tony Ferguson was like, what the fuck is going on here, mate? He could only like take shots to the head and then just
And then throw the late game in a Mario.
Yeah, yo, but the
That
thing
was
is like too
late.
late, man. Too
Yeah,
late.
too late.
alright.
No, one thing I was curious is how America has wrestling in most of their high schools, right?
Yeah.
It'd be nice if like Singapore has something like that.
Right? I
Right.
feel like it should, but
think-
it would do a lot of good for the youth of our country to have
Right.
some kind of martial art right in there.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, but wrestling I don't think fits into that box of what we want because number one is not sexy. Like, you never see highlights of a wrestling match because it's not like a brutal knockout.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, they don't want striking in schools is because like you don't want your kids to get head trauma. But wrestling is okay. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you don't get.
it's more acceptable.
yeah.
That's true too. That's true too.
But people are gonna have huge ass cauliflower
Yeah,
ears everywhere.
Wow, Kai Xiong's is getting worse.
Oh,
and
he's not
worse.
getting
It's
worse,
really
right?
worse and worse.
Like, would you rather your kid do taekwondo or like wrestling? I'd rather my kid do wrestling.
Yeah, that one is much more grindy.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's more useful. Like, if you get into a street fight, right, wrestling is gonna help you way more than taekwondo. That's what I feel.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Being able to control a person.
Yeah, if you can control a person, there's nothing a person
And
can do to you.
Yep, you understand the human body more than just striking. strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. On the way here, on the way back from lunch, I actually saw one of the China workers at a construction site fighting with an Indian guy. Like full out fight, bro.
Oh, damn,
I drove
son.
past it.
Shit, you should have stopped and started cheering, yo.
Where's the video, yo?
My dad was driving, right? And then I was like, oh, this big ass truck like stopped in the middle of the road. Then the truck driver got out of his car, and then there was this Indian guy that was like, he's the one cleaning the floor with the brush to make sure like the sand from the construction site doesn't go onto the main road. Dude, the Chinaman got off his truck, shoved the Indian man, and then the Indian man's like stunned, like what the hell is going on? And then they started pushing each other, but then my car went past already, so I didn't see shit. So I was thinking to myself, wow, if only that Indian man, right, had some kind of like
He might have a
wrestling
Boom,
background.
double leg, son.
Yeah, okay lah, but there's nothing to justify what the Chinaman did. Honestly, like he came down for a thing and he straight away shoved the Indian man. And the Indian man was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, bro, just have a conversation, man. Don't have to shove each other. But yeah, if you are ever in that position, I think wrestling would help out way more than any taekwondo for sure. Like taekwondo or Muay Thai, dude, Muay Thai for sure.
Yeah.
Way more useful.
Yeah, I think there's a hierarchy. Like if it's a one-on-one conflict, wrestling is first.
Yep, definitely. Wrestling,
Wrestling the most
BJJ, Jiu-Jitsu.
That's how Askren got so high up without knowing jack shit about striking. Like. Full on wrestling. Right. Also, I think quite amazing. Like the main difference, like I don't want to shit on ONE FC, but I realized like when I watch UFC fights, right, I've realized all the fighters have this personal connection to Dana White. Like they never ever say depends on what the UFC says. They always say depends on what Dana says. It's because they all have that direct line to Dana White, and then they feel like Dana White actually is taking their opinions into account. So they kind of have this way of having the fighters give them feedback. They mold the UFC into something that the fighters want, and then the fighters now realize that, oh shit, the CEO is listening to what we have to say, right? Now we go all out. Whereas like ONE FC, there's this disconnect, right? Like between the fighters and the organization. Like you don't see anybody talking straight to.
Well, dude,
Chatri.
I'll be the asshole over here and call it out lah. ONE FC is not a good organization for the fighters unless you are from Evolve.
That's what. And I think it's not to shit on the way ONE FC is doing things. I think is for ONE FC to succeed, right? They need to build this better rapport with the fighters, and at the end of the day, it will give the best product to the consumers.
I agree.
Right? Because there's this stigma around us, like we watch MMA and we know like we don't really want to watch ONE FC because we know there's some sort of favoritism and they don't want to make the best fights for the consumers.
Yeah.
Right? Like whereas UFC, right, you know they are trying to make the best fight for you.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't matter who.
It doesn't matter who. So long as you can bring in the money and you are a marketable personality, right?
People want to watch you, they'll make their fight.
Yeah. Like Dana White doesn't get along with John Jones, but he knows John Jones is the GOAT. Right? So he has no choice but now to retract the contract, bump him up to heavyweight. And that's what the consumers want. And that's why we are such loyal fans of the UFC. But ONE FC, like, okay, I understand there's like a language barrier between a lot of the fighters in maybe Myanmar, Thailand, Korea, Japan. And then us, right? Because there's that language barrier, so it's harder to build that narrative. So like, the lines are a bit blurrier.
But they kind of don't even try though. Like they don't tell the fighter story. If you realize, only fighters that they tell the story is like Angela Lee.
They want to market
correct,
whoever they
right?
want to market. Yeah.
So it's kind of BS lah. Like as much as we want the ONE FC to succeed, right? Because it's like
our Asian
it's
kind
nearer
of,
to us. Like it's like closer to home. I think they need to like get over that hump. If they can get over that hump of just make the best fights and make the fights that people want to see without favoritism, then at the end of the day, your product will grow lah, and people will start to realize, oh shit, like I actually want to wake up to watch this event, you know, like not just because like that person fighting is from Singapore, but actually it's because, oh shit, that guy from Thailand is damn sick also, like I want to watch him fight.
Think about it, they have a market like China with how many billion people?
Yeah.
So
it could be big. But honestly, if you were to ask me, right, most Singaporeans don't know about TIFF. They don't know about TIFF.
That's why I think that they don't do a good job of like TIFF's previous fight. Zero marketing.
Yeah, dude.
Zero
so
marketing.
Dumb. Like she's for real a real
Homegrown,
heartland
And
hero.
Singaporeans do love their home athletes.
Yeah.
They do. Look at schooling, look at all this.
Yeah.
They
no
do.
one knows. She's actually the highest ranked MMA fighter who's a Singaporean, highest ranked in the world. But no one knows. They all think like Angela Lee is a Singaporean. Yo, dog. She ain't. I won't lie. She ain't Singaporean, dude.
Yeah, she's American, yo. She's from Honolulu.
Yeah, she was born.
She's from Hawaii, yo.
She's barely here. She's
Although she
barely
looks
here.
Singaporean, she walks Singaporean. She's really not. Yeah, Tiff is like the prime example of something that drop everything, fuck the world, fuck what society says about MMA. I'm gonna do what I wanna do. And she's doing it and she's succeeding, but like why doesn't ONE FC wanna shine a bigger spotlight on her? I don't know. I really don't. Like there's chance for you to make money here, y'all.
Yeah, it's a huge chip, but they should use it.
Yeah, like I don't understand.
Really, previous fight, I was like, what? And just from the announcement during the walk-in, it was so different.
Yeah.
I don't
can tell, right? Even
Yup.
the announcers during the fight itself obviously favoring the other
Yeah,
girl. Like,
yeah,
yo,
definitely. So I forget who her previous opponent was.
The judo girl.
There was a big announcement for the judo girl, and then Tiffany was like, Tiffany Teo from
Yeah.
Singapore. Wow, I was so upset.
So
I was
dumb,
like,
bro.
what the fuck? This is
Yeah.
a
The fear is that this favoritism, right, spills onto, let's say the fight goes on to a decision, and then it spills onto the judges, right?
yeah.
So the only way that Tiff can override all this favoritism, right, is to knock
brutally,
that bitch
violently.
out.
Yeah. Let me tell you, they definitely don't want her to win this fight. They don't. For sure. Because Ting Nan is now a Evolve girl.
And
I
not just
see,
that,
I see.
she's from China. She has 1 billion over people
Exactly,
behind her,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
But I don't care. Like that's the beauty also about fighting, lah. If you are good, you go in.
Skills pay the bills, yo.
Yeah, you knock her out. There's nobody can argue with that. And ONE FC doesn't want to recognize game, right? Hopefully, I'm gonna say UFC comes here and expands in Southeast Asia because I think now they realize that Southeast Asia
It's a market.
is a big ass market. The fact that the second biggest promotion in the world exists not just in Asia but just Southeast Asia, if you think about it, right? It says a lot about the love for fighting that we have in.
There's a
Asia.
martial tradition in this region as well. Like look at Muay Thai, look at the Filipinos with their striking arts and all. Like there's a martial tradition in this region.
Yeah, and it's something that I think the UFC is yet to unlock. If they really brought whatever they did in the US here, and of course market the athletes
The
in
same
a-
way.
in
Tell
the
their
same
story.
way.
They have
yeah.
a Chinese champion in the women's division.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I mean,
There
it's
we
not
go.
that expensive to get a fucking translator on TV lah, right? Not like just translate whatever she says in Thai or Burmese into English, and I'm sure they have some crazy stories because a lot of these people come out from backgrounds that are probably back against the wall, chip stack against them. They have crazy stories, just that they don't want to tell these stories. They just want to push like the market names, like Brandon Vera. Honestly, he went to the UFC, got his ass whooped. Like DJ kind of knows like nobody in the division can take him on, so he's fucking not even fighting already. Like I got enough money, I do
He's
Twitch.
streaming, bro.
Yeah.
He's Twitch streaming.
Yeah, that guy
Xbox,
makes-
PS, PlayStation all day.
My
Yeah,
legacy
yeah.
is solid already. I go to ONE FC, I get like 5 more wins against no names. Right, there's no point for me. I might as well just play my COD and make
Yeah,
some
yeah.
money.
I bet he makes more money on that, dude.
Yep, he
Right?
does. He
Twitch
does.
sponsors him.
Yeah.
He's on Twitch, but Twitch sponsors him. Like what the fuck? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I think about an hour in, I think that was like a freaking good
Time
podcast. ah.
flies, yo. Time flies.
Yeah, that's
It's
a
one of
freaking
our very,
Yeah, like this is something for us to build on lah. Like this is what we wanted from doing a podcast.
and we're so excited this week to meet you. Just saying, bro.
Yeah, I was pretty excited as well.
Yeah.
I like your guys' work.
Yeah, we're still trying to carve out the edges, cut out the fat in our podcast because we are still getting used to sitting in front of a microphone and speaking to like each other and a guest. But I think we get better lah. I think we can see like as the weeks go by, we get better and better in each podcast.
Hopefully.
For sure. I feel so.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So I think let's put an end to this podcast. Once again, I want to thank Jared for coming on. Yeah. Follow him if you are listening to the end of this podcast. Thank you very much. You are a real one. Follow Jared on Black Hat Movement on Instagram. If you want to get maces, just DM him. Personal training, any kind of advice, DM him. Yeah, that's about it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Peace.
Love you guys. Peace out.